Hello everyone and welcome back to my C# course. In this episode, we will learn about conversion, typecasting and user input. So let's begin. In C#, we can switch the data type of a value using typecasting and conversion. Let's talk about typecasting first. There are two types of casting, implicit and explicit. The implicit casting is automatically, when we switch from a smaller size type to a larger one. For example, int numInt equals 12. Now we'll create a double variable named numDouble. And the value of numDouble will be numInt. Now, the numDouble as the value of our numInt variable. We can check that by printing to the console. We have 12. Let's have another example of casting. Float numFloat equals 15.2f. Double my double equals numFloat. So now the my double variable holds the value of numFloat. The second type of casting is explicit casting. Explicit casting must be done manually, and it's done by placing the type we want to cast in parentheses in front of the value. For example, let's create this time a double variable, numDouble, and it will be the value of 3.14 pi. Int numInt equals numDouble. As you can see, it gives us an error. We can't implicit convert it. So we need to manually cast it by putting the type we want in parentheses like this. So when we will print it, you can guess what will happen. We have a value with a decimal point, but integer can't hold a decimal point value. So it will simply numInt take the integer value of the numDouble variable. Even if we have 3.9, it will only give us 3 because it's not rounding the value, it's just ignoring this part of the variable, and it takes only the integer parts. Now, there's also conversion. Conversions are done with built-in methods. We can use the convert method and the parse method. Both are pretty much the same. The only difference is that the convert method is setting null to return 0, and then it calls the parse method. Let's have some examples. I have these 4 variables, and I want to convert my numString into an integer. So I will console.writeLine and convert dot to int32 and my variable name, which is my numString. As you can see, it gave us the number. We printed the converted version of my numString. So it took this part, converted it into an integer, and console.writeLine, and here we have it here. But what if I want to keep that value in an integer, in a variable? I can simply do it by doing this. We'll create a variable of integer, and we will name it converted num, and that will be equal to convert dot to int32 my numString. Then I can simply print converted number, and here we have it. The converted number has the value of my numString. Now let's say I want to convert my double. What do I do now? If I want to convert my double, we will change this to double, and instead of double convert to int, we will do to double and my double string. And now we will get the double value in here. Let's say I want to convert my boolean to a string. I want to print false or true. What do I do? So to that we have convert to string. Now I can put this here, and this should be a string, and I'll rename it converted bool. And here we go, we have false. Now let's use the parse method. It's pretty much the same. You just put int.parse and the value, so my num string. Let's just change this to an int, and here we go, we have converted num, and now it's an integer. We have also other parse. We have double.parse. We also have double parse, and we also have bool parse. Bool parse, we can just have a string, and it will be my bool string equals to false. And now we can make my bool to equal bool parse my bool string. Now I can print my bool here, and we will get false. To get user input, we use console.readline. Let's create a string variable, string name, and set it to be console.readline. Now the value of name will be the value we set it in the application. Let's also print it to the console after getting the value. So console.writeLine name. Now let's run the application and give it a value. As you can see, we gave it a value, the value entered the variable, it became its value, and then we just printed to the console the value. What if I want to get a number instead of a string, let's say age or height? Can I just do int age instead? Well, as you can see, it gives us an error. That's because console.readline actually returns a specific data type, a string. But what we can do is convert a string using the method we learned. Let's try int parse console readline. As you can see, that works out. What happens is that when I enter a value, it looks like this. Let's say I enter 12. That's the value we got from the console, and the int parse converts it to a normal 12, and then it gives it to the variable. But what happens if instead of entering an int, I accidentally enter a string? Let's say I wrote 12 and then accidentally hit the H key. That's not a number, so what will happen? Well, the application will simply crash because it doesn't know what to do with that H. How to deal with those issues we will learn in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.